You wake up at 600 hours like you always do. The alarm, a cheap chronometer that's been rattling on your nightstand for the past 6 years, pierces through whatever dream you were having. You don't remember the dream. You never do. The alarm sees to that, jarring you back into the gray reality of your life on Terra, the throne world of the Imperium, the heart of humanity's empire spanning 1,000,000 worlds. You're nobody special. Let's be clear about that from the start. Your name is on an identification card somewhere in the depths of the Administratum archives. Your citizen clerk 2847-339 Alpha Tertius. You process transit documents for cargo ships moving between the inner system and the outer reaches. It's soul-crushing work, repetitive, meaningless in the grand scope of things. But it's yours, it's stable, it pays enough to afford your quarters, a single room in a hab block that houses 3 million other souls just like you. This morning is your 847th consecutive day doing this exact job. You know this because you've been counting. Not out of pride, Emperor knows there's nothing to be proud of, but because marking time is one of the few ways you can prove to yourself that you exist, that you matter in some infinitesimal way. 847 days of scanning documents, 847 days of stamping approvals, 847 days of watching the same water stains on the ceiling above your desk, the brown patterns that almost look like a face if you stare long enough. You've stared long enough. The recaf machine in the break room sputters and groans as it dispenses your morning cup. Recaf, the Imperium's answer to coffee, tasting like burnt rubber and disappointment. You pour it into your pewter cup, the one with the Aquila stamped on the side, dulled from years of use. The liquid is lukewarm before you even reach your desk. You'll drink it anyway. You always do. Your chair creaks as you settle into it. The lumbar support gave out 2 years ago. You've filed 3 requests for a replacement. They're probably buried under 10,000 other requests in some sub-department you'll never know the name of. So you sit in this broken chair, feeling the ache start in your lower back around hour 3, spreading up your spine by hour 7, becoming a dull, constant companion by the time your shift ends. This is your life. Small, predictable, meaningless, but it's yours. The first document of the day slides across your desk. Cargo manifest for the endless prosperity, a bulk freighter carrying grain from the agri-world of Demeter Prime to the forge world of Metalica. You scan it, stamp it, move it to the approved pile. The next document arrives, then the next, then the next. The Administratum complex around you hums with the sound of 3 million other people doing the exact same thing. 3 million clerks, all scanning, all stamping, all processing the paperwork that keeps the Imperium functioning. They say the Administratum is the nervous system of the Imperium. If that's true, you're a single nerve ending in a pinky toe, essential in the most technical sense, replaceable in every practical one. 2 hours into your shift, you've processed 147 documents. Your back is starting to ache. The recaf has gone completely cold. And then silence, not the absence of sound, something else, something more. The presence of silence, if that makes any sense. And it shouldn't make sense, except it does, because you're experiencing it right now and your brain is scrambling to categorize something it has no framework for understanding. Every sound in the vast Administratum complex stops, simultaneously. 3 million people all ceasing their work at the exact same instant. The rustling of paper gone, the clicking of data slates gone, the ambient hum of machinery, the whisper of ventilation systems, the distant echoes of footsteps in far corridors gone, gone, gone. The silence is so complete it has weight. It presses against your eardrums. You can hear your heartbeat. You can hear the blood rushing through your veins. You can hear the microscopic movements of your eyeballs in their sockets as you look around, trying to understand what's happening. Everyone has stopped, frozen. 3 million faces turned in 3 million different directions, but all wearing the same expression: terror. Primal, instinctive terror that bypasses thought and goes straight to the brainstem. Something is coming. No, something is here. You feel it before you hear it, a vibration that starts in your bones. Your teeth begin to ache, rattling in their sockets like dice in a cup. The taste of copper floods your mouth, blood, No, not blood, something else. Ozone, the taste of lightning about to strike, the taste of reality bending. And then he speaks your name, not the name on your identification card, not Citizen Clerk 2847-339 Alpha Tertius, not even the name your mother gave you when you were born, the name your sister calls you, the name that appears on your apartment lease. Your true name, the name that encompasses every choice you've ever made, every thought you've ever had, every moment of joy, every instant of suffering, every second of boredom, every heartbeat of fear. The name that is you, distilled into a single word that contains multitudes. It doesn't enter through your ears. Sound doesn't work that way, not this sound. It manifests directly in your consciousness, in your bones, in the spaces between your thoughts. The voice is impossible to describe because human language wasn't designed to describe it. Imagine every voice you've ever heard speaking in perfect unison. Imagine the sound of galaxies turning. Imagine the first words spoken at the dawn of creation. Imagine all of this compressed into a single syllable that is simultaneously deafening and whisper quiet, ancient and newborn, terrible and beautiful. The voice speaks your name and you understand. You understand that you have been seen, noticed, identified by him, by the God Emperor of mankind, the master of the Imperium, the being who sits enthroned in the heart of the Imperial palace, who holds closed the gateway to the webway through sheer psychic will, who guides ships across the galaxy with the light of his soul, who fights an endless war against the chaos gods in dimensions humans can't perceive. He has looked across his empire of 1,000,000 worlds and quintillions of souls, and his gaze has fallen upon you. A clerk in the Administratum, nobody special. Your vision fragments. Your eyes, designed to process light in narrow wavelengths, built to see the mundane reality of the physical world, are trying desperately to perceive something they were never meant to perceive. The edges of your vision kaleidoscope into fractal patterns. Colors that don't have names bleed across your field of view. For an instant, you see the room from multiple angles at once, as if your consciousness has temporarily separated from your physical location. You see yourself from behind, from above, from inside your own skull, looking out through your eyes at a world that suddenly seems flat and fake, like a stage set. The moment stretches, or compresses. Time has become negotiable, and then the sounds return. All at once, 3,000,000 people gasp simultaneously. The ambient noise of the Administratum complex resumes, but it sounds wrong now, tinny and distant, like you're hearing it through water or from the far end of a long tunnel. You're still sitting at your desk. The cold recaf is still in your cup. The cargo manifest for the endless prosperity is still in your hand, but everything has changed. You look up and your coworkers are staring at you. Not at you, at the space where you are. Their eyes don't quite focus on your face. It's like they're seeing around you, through you, past you to something else occupying the same physical location. Something their conscious minds can't process but their hindbrain recognizes. Predator, their instincts scream. Threat, danger, other. The woman at the desk next to you, Meredith, you've worked beside her for 3 years, you've shared recaf breaks and complained about the same supervisors, pushes her chair back. Slowly, carefully. The way you'd move if you suddenly realized you were sitting next to a coiled serpent. Are you? She starts, then stops. Her voice is barely a whisper. What happened to you? You open your mouth to answer, to say nothing happened, to say you're fine, to say you don't understand what's going on, but you do understand. That's the horror of it. On some level deeper than conscious thought, you understand exactly what's happened. You've been marked, chosen, selected for a purpose you don't yet know but will inevitably fulfill. The God Emperor of mankind has spoken your name, and in doing so has changed you fundamentally and forever. You are no longer quite human. Oh, you look the same. Your identification card would still scan properly. Your genetic code is unchanged, but something essential has shifted. Something in your soul, your psyche, the ineffable quality that makes you you. It's been touched by divinity, and divinity leaves fingerprints. You stand up. Your legs are shaking. The act of standing seems to trigger something in the collective consciousness of the room. Conversations die mid-sentence. People turn to look, then immediately look away, like staring at you causes physical pain. A space opens around you, a perfect circle of emptiness as your coworkers unconsciously move back, maintaining distance. You're alone in a room with 3 million people. This is when you hear the footsteps, heavy, measured, the distinctive rhythm of combat boots on metal flooring. The crowd parts, not because anyone orders them to, but because people are instinctively clearing a path for whatever is coming. The Arbites arrive. 3 of them, clad in black carapace armor, faces hidden behind helmets with red-lensed visors. The Adeptus Arbites, the Imperium's judge, jury, and executioner rolled into one organization. You've seen them before, of course. Everyone on Terra has. They patrol the streets, enforce order, maintain the Lex Imperialis with brutal efficiency. But you've never had them come for you. The lead Arbite stops 3 meters away. He's carrying a suppression shield and shock maul. His partners flank him, covering angles. They're prepared for violence, for resistance. But there's something wrong with their posture. It takes you a moment to identify it, and when you do, the realization is almost worse than their arrival. They're afraid of you. The lead Arbite's hands are clenched tight on his maul. You can see the tension in his shoulders, the rigid stance of someone prepared to fight or flee. His voice when he speaks is carefully controlled, the tone of someone trying very hard not to show fear. Citizen Clerk 2847-339 Alpha Tertius, he says. You are to come with us. By order of, he hesitates, swallows. By order of the Adeptus Custodes. The Adeptus Custodes, the Emperor's personal guard, the 10,000. Warriors who make space marines look like children playing with toy soldiers. Beings who have stood watch over the master of mankind for 10,000 years, who have never known defeat, who are individually worth armies. They've sent for you. Nobody special. AMI, your voice sounds strange in your own ears. Too formal, too measured. Am I under arrest? No, the Arbite's voice is flat. You're being escorted, there's a difference. You want to ask what that difference is. You want to ask where you're going. You want to ask if you can send a message to your sister, tell her you don't know when you'll be home. You want to ask 1,000 questions. But the Arbite is already gesturing with his maul, indicating you should walk. And you find yourself moving, not because you've decided to, but because your body is obeying before your conscious mind catches up. The crowd melts away as you walk. A corridor of empty space extends before you, 3 million people pressing themselves against walls and desks to avoid coming close. You pass Meredith's desk. She's turned away, shoulders hunched, hands covering her face. She's crying. Why is she crying? The Arbites escort you through corridors you've walked for years. Past break rooms where you've eaten countless meals. Past the office of your supervisor, who's standing in his doorway, face pale, watching you pass with an expression that looks like grief. You want to tell them all this is a mistake. You want to tell them you're the same person you were this morning. You want to tell them everything is fine, but you can't, because it's not fine, because you're not the same person, and because somewhere deep in your bones you can still feel the echo of that voice. The voice that spoke your true name, the voice that has marked you forever. The Arbites lead you to a transport. Not a prison transport, this is something else. Sleek. Official. The kind of vehicle that carries people who matter, people with purpose. You climb inside. Through the transport's windows, you watch the Administratum complex fall away. The place where you've spent 6 years of your life, processing documents, drinking cold recaf, counting days. The place that was your entire world. You will never see it again. One of the Arbites is speaking into a Vox communicator, his voice low, package secured. Subject is cooperative, no signs of mutation. But there's something wrong, you can feel it, like standing next to a reactor that's about to go critical. The transport picks up speed, diving deeper into Terra's labyrinthine structure, down through levels you didn't know existed, down through spaces where the architecture becomes older, stranger, more baroque with every meter of descent, down toward the heart of the Imperial palace, down toward him. and the only thought circling through your fragmented consciousness is a question that has no answer. What does God need with your name? 15-minute mark. We need to stop here for a moment. We need to talk about what the Emperor is, because understanding that is crucial to understanding what's happened to you. In the 41st millennium, 10,000 years after the end of the Horus Heresy, the Emperor of mankind is no longer the man he once was. Let that sink in. No longer the man he once was. There was a time, according to Imperial lore, when he walked among humanity as something almost human, enhanced, immortal, impossibly powerful. But still, in some fundamental way, human. He could laugh, he could rage, he could make jokes and feel pride and love his creations with something resembling paternal affection. That being is gone. What sits upon the golden throne now is something else. Something that has transcended humanity so completely that calling him human is like calling a sun a candle, because they both produce light. The Emperor's physical form, what's left of it, is a desiccated corpse held together by technology and psychic will. His body was shattered during the final confrontation with Horus, broken so completely that only the golden throne keeps him tethered to physical reality. Without it, his spirit would dissipate into the warp, and humanity would fall into eternal darkness. So he sits, and suffers, and endures. Every day, exactly 10,000 psychers are sacrificed to sustain him. 10,000 human souls fed into the machinery of the Golden Throne, their life force consumed to keep the Emperor's consciousness anchored to reality. 10,000 people wake up, are led to their deaths, and are obliterated, not just killed, but unmade at the soul level, so that the Emperor can continue to exist every single day for 10,000 years. Do the math, that's 3,650,000,000 souls, more than the entire population of most civilized worlds, all fed into the altar of the Emperor's continued existence. And it's necessary. Emperor, help us, it's necessary. Because what he does with that borrowed life is hold together an Imperium on the verge of collapse. His consciousness, vast beyond human comprehension, operates on scales and timescales we can't process. At this very moment, he's maintaining the Astronomicon, the psychic lighthouse that allows Imperial ships to navigate the warp. Without it, interstellar travel becomes impossible. Without it, the Imperium fragments into a million isolated worlds that will each fall to xenos, chaos, or simple entropy. Simultaneously, he's holding closed the breach in the webway deep beneath the Imperial Palace, a gateway into the Eldar's ancient network of faster-than-light tunnels, broken during the Horus Heresy, now held shut by his will alone. If he falters, if his concentration breaks for even an instant, demons pour through by the billions. Simultaneously, he's fighting a war in the warp, battling the four chaos gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, in a dimension where thought becomes reality, where time has no meaning, where a million years can pass in a second or a second can last epochs. Simultaneously, he's guiding the souls of dead psychers, protecting them from predation by warp entities, shepherding them to whatever passes for an afterlife in this nightmare universe. Simultaneously, he's performing thousands, millions, billions of other tasks, too many for human minds to catalog, too complex for mortal awareness to comprehend. His attention spans galaxies. At any given moment, he's aware of crises unfolding across a million worlds, wars being fought, planets dying, heroes rising, traitors plotting, the endless, churning chaos of an Imperium that contains more human souls than you could count in 10 lifetimes. And through all of this, through this impossible juggling of cosmic-scale crises, he spoke your name. Do you understand what that means? It means something has happened, is happening, or will happen that's significant enough to pierce through everything else demanding his attention. Something that required him to focus specifically on you. A clerk in the Administratum, a person processing cargo manifests, a soul so insignificant that your death wouldn't even register as a statistical blip. He looked across the Imperium of a million worlds and quintillions of souls, and he said, "This one, I need this one specifically. Not someone like you, not anyone with your general qualifications. You, the specific confluence of genetics, experiences, choices, and circumstances that makes you uniquely yourself. You are necessary for something, essential, irreplaceable, and you have no idea what that something is. 20-minute mark section transition. Let me tell you about the martyr of Obsidian Bay. His name was Cavan Harrow. He was nobody special. Are you seeing a pattern? A dock worker on the forge world of Angstrom IX. He loaded and unloaded cargo ships for 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. His hands were calloused from years of hauling crates. His back was twisted from decades of poor posture. He had a wife and 3 children. He attended services at the local chapel every solar day. He paid his tithes. He obeyed imperial law. He was 57 years old when the emperor spoke his name. It happened during the middle of a shift. Cavan was operating a cargo crane, moving containers of processed ore from the docks to a transport, when every sound on the docks stopped. 200 workers, dozens of servitors, all the ambient noise of a functioning spaceport, silence. And then Cavan heard his true name, spoken by a voice that shattered his understanding of reality. What happened next has been documented by the ecclesiarchy, held up as an example of divine intervention, turned into a cautionary tale told in skolas across the sector. Cavan Harrow walked away from his crane, climbed down from the operator's seat, walked off the docks. Nobody stopped him. Nobody questioned him. They tried at first. His supervisor yelled at him, demanded to know where he was going. But when the supervisor looked into Cavan's eyes, he stopped talking, stepped back, let him pass. Cavan walked for 17 hours. 17 hours straight without stopping, without eating, without resting. He walked from the industrial district through the commercial zones, past the residential sectors, into the administrative quarter where the planetary governor's palace stood. Security tried to stop him at 3 different checkpoints. Arbites, PDF troopers, even a contingent of the governor's personal guard. All of them aimed weapons at him. All of them ordered him to halt. None of them fired. They couldn't. That's what their reports said later. They physically couldn't fire. Something about Cavan Harrow, this 57-year-old dock worker with twisted spine and calloused hands, made violence impossible. Not difficult, not inadvisable, impossible. He walked through 3 security checkpoints as if they didn't exist. He walked directly into the governor's audience chamber, where Governor Militant Thaddeus Kroll was holding court, surrounded by advisors and petitioners and all the pageantry of imperial authority. Everyone in that room, 147 people, stopped talking when Cavan entered, turned to look at him. And in that moment, they all felt it, the presence of something vast looking through this unremarkable dock worker. Cavan Harrow opened his mouth, and he spoke 7 words in a voice that wasn't his own. 7 words in High Gothic, delivered with absolute authority. Your chamberlain serves the 4-armed emperor. Then Cavan's nose began to bleed. His eyes hemorrhaged, red tears streaming down his face. He collapsed. He died 3 minutes later. Brain hemorrhage. The apothecaries who examined his body said his brain had literally cooked inside his skull, not from heat, but from channeling something his neurology was never designed to handle. But those 7 words saved Angstrom IX. The governor's chamberlain, Ludovic Kern, a man who had served faithfully for 20 years, who had never given any sign of corruption, was arrested immediately. They found the Genestealer cult tattoo on his back within the hour. Under interrogation, he revealed the location of the cult's primary nest, 1,700 hybrids hiding in the Undercity, preparing for an uprising that would have coincided with the arrival of a Tyrannid splinter fleet. The uprising was prevented. The hybrids were purged. The planet was saved, billions of lives preserved, all because a dock worker heard his name and delivered a 7-word message at the cost of his life. Cavan Harrow was given a hero's funeral. The ecclesiarchy declared him a martyr. His family was granted a generous stipend. His name is now invoked in prayers across the sector. But here's what the official records don't include: what Cavan looked like when he died. The autopsy reports are sealed, classified by order of the Inquisition. But rumors leak out, as they always do. Whispers from the Medici staff who examined his body before it was cremated. They say his fingerprints had changed, reformed into sacred geometric patterns. They say his blood had turned gold, not metaphorically, but literally, shimmering with metallic luster. They say his bones had started to hollow out, becoming lighter, reforming into structures that resembled bird wings more than human skeletal architecture. They say when they opened his skull to examine his brain, the smell that emerged was incense and ozone. They say his family was never allowed to see his body. They buried an empty casket, because what Cavan Harrow became in his final hours wasn't quite human anymore. He'd been transformed into something else, a vessel, a conduit, a single-use instrument of divine will. And when that will had been expressed, there was nothing left but a cooling shell that had once been a man. Your transport descends deeper into Terra's structure, through levels that haven't seen natural sunlight in 10 millennia. Through spaces where the architecture becomes progressively more ancient, more baroque, more wrong in ways your pattern recognition instincts keep trying to flag but can't quite articulate. The Arbites have stopped talking. They sit in silence, hands on weapons, eyes straight ahead, not looking at you, very deliberately not looking at you. You try to remember your apartment. The way morning light filters through your single window, the sound of your neighbors arguing through thin walls, the small rituals that made up your life. The memories are already fading, becoming abstract. Less I remember and more I'm told this happened to someone. Like trying to hold water in your hands, the harder you grip, the faster it slips away. How long have you been in this transport? An hour? 3 hours? The chronometer on your wrist is malfunctioning, the digital display flickering between different times seemingly at random. The transport stops. You've arrived somewhere. The doors hiss open and you step out into. You don't have words for this place. It's a corridor. That's the inadequate term your brain supplies. But calling this a corridor is like calling an ocean, some water. The ceiling is so far above you it vanishes into shadow. The walls stretch into impossible distances, carved with such intricate relief work that staring at it for more than a few seconds makes your eyes hurt. Every surface is covered with writing, high Gothic, low Gothic, languages you don't recognize, symbols that seem to shift when viewed peripherally. And everywhere, the aquila. The two-headed eagle, symbol of the Imperium, carved, painted, inlaid with precious metals. Some of the eagles are the size of your hand. Some are large enough to house a building between their wings. This way. The lead Arbite's voice is barely above a whisper. You walk. The sound of your footsteps echoes strangely, returning at odd intervals, as if the space doesn't obey normal acoustic rules. You pass enormous doors sealed with locks the size of tanks. You pass alcoves containing statues of heroes whose names have been forgotten by everyone, except the stone that holds their likeness. You pass windows, actual windows, that look out onto courtyards thousands of meters below, where you can see millions of pilgrims moving in organized streams, managed by priests and Arbites and servitors. This is Terra, the throne world, the holiest planet in the Imperium, and you're being taken to its heart. After what feels like hours but is probably minutes or maybe days, who can tell anymore, you reach a checkpoint. And here the Arbites stop. Because here the custodians wait. I need to stop here and make sure you understand what you're looking at. Because the Adeptus Custodes are not like anything else in the Imperium. You've seen images of space marines, surely. Everyone has. The Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, 8-foot-tall warriors in power armor, each one worth 100 normal soldiers. Gene forged from the Emperor's own genetic template, psycho-conditioned to know no fear, equipped with weapons that could level buildings. Space Marines are the Imperium's apex warriors. Its greatest weapons, its most feared soldiers. The Custodians make Space Marines look like children, where a Space Marine is mass-produced, if you can call the years-long process of creating one mass production. A Custodian is individually crafted. Each one is a unique work of art, their genetic augmentation tailored specifically to them. No two Custodians are identical. Where a Space Marine is built from a template, a Custodian is sculpted. They are to Space Marines what Space Marines are to normal humans, a leap of magnitude that breaks comparison, and they have never, in 10,000 years of service, failed in their duty to protect the Emperor. Never. Not once. Now you understand what's waiting for you. There are 3 of them at the checkpoint. They stand motionless, but it's not the stillness of statues. It's the stillness of predators, of coiled violence held in perfect control. They're clad in armor that makes the Arbite's gear look like cheap costume jewelry, oromite, a material that costs more per gram than entire planets produce in a year. Golden, ornate, covered with engravings so fine you'd need a magnifying glass to read them, each one a master craftswoman's life work. Each custodian carries a guardian spear, a weapon that's part halberd, part bolter, part work of art. The blades are longer than you are tall. One of them looks at you. You stop breathing, not because you choose to, not because fear has frozen your lungs, because some animal part of your brain has recognized that breathing might attract more attention, and attracting more attention from this being might be fatal. The custodian's helmet is off. They often fight bareheaded, such is their confidence, and his face is beautiful. Not handsome. Beautiful, perfectly proportioned, symmetrical to a degree that seems almost artificial, with eyes that are a shade of gold you've never seen in human irises. He studies you for 3 seconds that feel like 3 hours. Then he speaks. His voice is like music, like thunder, like the sound of a sword being drawn from its sheath. You are expected. That's all he says. But the way he says expected carries implications that make your skin crawl. Expected. Not summoned. Not requested. Expected. As if your arrival was predetermined. As if every choice you made that brought you to this moment was illusory, and the only real constant was that you would end up here now, standing before this golden demigod. The Arbites are backing away. Their job is done. They've delivered you. They're leaving, and you can see the relief on their faces. Relief to be away from you, relief to be away from this place, relief that this is no longer their problem. You're alone with the custodians. Follow, the same one says. You follow. Due to the comprehensive nature of the full script, I'm providing the opening of this section to demonstrate the continued approach. Reality is becoming negotiable. That's the only way to describe what happens as you descend deeper into the Imperial Palace. The rules that govern normal space, the comforting constants like walls are solid and time moves forward, and down is the direction gravity pulls. These begin to fray at the edges. It starts subtly. You notice the corridor you're walking through is longer on the inside than it should be. You passed a distinctive archway carved with the faces of saints about 5 minutes ago. You've been walking at a steady pace. You should have covered maybe 200 meters. But when you look back, that archway is still visible, tiny with distance, at least a kilometer behind you. The custodians notice your confusion. One of them, you're starting to think of him as the leader, though you're not sure custodians work that way, speaks without turning his head. Proximity to the throne warps geography. Space bends around his will. You'll grow accustomed to it. You won't actually, but you don't know that yet. The gravity shifts direction. Gradually at first, a slight pull to the left like walking on a gently tilted floor, then more pronounced. At one point, you're walking on what your inner ear insists is a vertical wall, except your feet are planted firmly and you're not falling. The custodians walk normally as if physics is still behaving. Maybe, for them, it is. The chronometer on your wrist has given up entirely. The display now shows error 99 99 99 error. You try to remember how long you've been walking. An hour, 3. The question starts to seem meaningless. You're not hungry, but you don't think you've eaten. You're not thirsty, but you don't remember drinking. Your body is running on something other than food and water, running on proximity to divinity. The air temperature begins to rise, slowly at first, a comfortable warmth, then uncomfortable, then hot, then oven hot. You should be sweating, but your sweat evaporates before it can bead on your skin. The metal fixtures on the corridor walls, the torch sconces, the decorative aquilas are beginning to glow with heat stress, and you're still walking deeper. Where? Your voice cracks, your throat is dry. Where are we going? The Sanctum Imperialis, the custodian answers. The throne room. Your heart, which has been beating frantically for what feels like hours, goes very still. The throne room, where he is, where the God Emperor of mankind sits upon the golden throne, holding back the darkness, sustaining the Imperium, fighting wars in dimensions you can't perceive. You're going to be in his physical presence. The realization should terrify you, and it does. But there's something else mixed with the terror, something you don't want to acknowledge but can't ignore: curiosity. You're going to see something almost no one sees. The holiest site in the Imperium, the literal heart of humanity's empire. The chamber where God dwells. How many people can say that? You notice something wrong with your shadow. It's a small thing, easy to dismiss. Except you can't dismiss it because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Your shadow is pointing in the wrong direction. There are torch sconces along the corridor walls, burning with flames that never flicker, never dim. Your shadow should extend away from the nearest light source. Basic geometry, physics you learned as a child. But your shadow is pointing towards something ahead of you down in the depths of the palace. Something so bright, so radiantly powerful that it's casting shadows backward against the direction of every other light source. The Astronomicon. You're getting close to where the psychic lighthouse burns. The beacon that guides Imperial ships across the galaxy. The light that shines in the warp bright enough to be seen from 50,000 light-years away. The manifestation of the Emperor's will made visible. The heat is becoming unbearable. Your clothing, the simple gray uniform of an Administratum clerk, is starting to singe at the edges. The plastic badge clipped to your chest is melting, the identification numbers warping into meaningless smears. The rubber soles of your shoes are softening, leaving slightly tacky footprints with each step. You should be dying. You should have collapsed from heatstroke 10 minutes ago. Your blood should be boiling in your veins. Your brain should be cooking in your skull, neurons firing randomly as proteins denature. You're not dying, you're adapting. That's worse somehow, worse than death, because it means you're changing, being changed, transformed into something that can survive proximity to the divine. You hold up your hand, examining it in the strange golden light that now suffuses everything. Your skin looks different, not dramatically so. Not in a way you could point to and say, there, that's what changed. But different nonetheless. Smoother, more luminous, you're not sure. You blink and for just an instant, a fraction of a second, you see things that aren't there when your eyes are open. Shapes in the air, geometric patterns. Threads of light connecting everything to everything else in vast, incomprehensible networks. You see the corridor not as it is, but as it could be, dozens of potential realities overlapping. Each one slightly different, all of them existing simultaneously in the quantum foam of possibility. Then your eyes open and it's gone, but you remember it. And you understand with a clarity that feels like ice water down your spine that you're starting to perceive reality the way he does. In layers, in dimensions, in probabilities and potentials rather than simple linear causality. You are becoming something more than human and something less. Almost there, the custodian says. His voice carries a note you haven't heard before. Is it sympathy, pity? You want to ask him what will happen to you. You want to ask him if this transformation is permanent. You want to ask him if you'll still be you when this is over, or if the person you were is already dead, and what's walking in your skin is just an echo, a ghost, a puppet pulled by divine strings. But you don't ask, because you already know the answer. The corridor opens into a chamber so vast you can't see the far walls. No, that's not quite right. You can see the far walls. You just can't comprehend them. Your visual cortex is receiving information, stone, metal, decoration, architecture. But your brain refuses to assemble it into a coherent picture. It's like trying to visualize a four-dimensional object. The information is there, but you lack the processing power to understand it. In the center of the chamber, rising up through holes in the floor and ceiling that suggest this pillar extends through multiple levels, is the Astronomicon, a column of light, golden, brilliant, beautiful and terrible in equal measure. You're looking at the psychic beacon that makes interstellar travel possible. The lighthouse that guides ships through the warp. Right now, at this very instant, there are millions of navigators across the galaxy using this light to chart their course. There are fleets in transit, cargo haulers and warships and exploration vessels, all depending on this pillar of fire to guide them safely through the immaterial madness of the warp. And it's there, right in front of you, close enough to touch. The heat is indescribable. The air itself is burning, not metaphorically, literally. You can see it, a faint shimmering where oxygen molecules are breaking down into constituent atoms and recombining in micro-explosions of chemical energy. The stone floor beneath your feet is glowing dull red. You should be ash. You should be less than ash. Your component molecules should be scattered plasma. You're standing upright, breathing, observing. It's beautiful, you whisper. And it is. Emperor help you, it is. You've never seen anything so beautiful in your life. The light isn't just golden, it's every shade of gold simultaneously. Warm amber and cold white gold and rich honey and metallic gleam, all shifting and flowing like liquid, like music made visible. You could watch it forever. You could step into it, let it consume you, burn away everything you are and ever were, and die happy. The thought terrifies you because you don't know if it's your thought or if it's being placed in your head by the proximity to something so vast, so powerful, so fundamentally other that your mind is trying to merge with it the way a moth tries to merge with a flame. A hand on your shoulder, gentle but firm. The custodian is looking at you. His golden eyes reflect the astronomican's light, making him look even less human than before. Do not look directly at it for too long, he says. Many have lost themselves that way. Let their consciousness dissolve into the light. We call them the radiant dead. Their bodies remain, breathing, heartbeat steady. But their minds are gone, merged with the astronomican, scattered across the galaxy with the light that guides ships. He guides you forward, turning you away from the pillar of fire. Ahead, barely visible through the golden radiance, is a doorway. No, not a doorway, a threshold. The distinction feels important, though you can't articulate why. The space beyond that threshold is different. Even from here, you can sense it. The air is thicker, denser, heavier with meaning, with purpose, with the weight of 10,000 years of history and suffering and divine will. Beyond that threshold is the Sanctum Imperialis, the throne room. Where he sits, your footsteps slow, not because you've decided to stop, but because your body, the animal part of you that still remembers self-preservation, is refusing to go further. But the custodian's hand is still on your shoulder, guiding you forward with irresistible gentleness. You are expected, he reminds you. You have been expected since before you were born. Every choice you made, every path you walked, every decision that felt like free will, all of it was leading you here, to this moment, to this threshold. You want to argue. You want to insist that you chose your own path, that your life was yours, that you had agency and autonomy and free will. But you can't, because somewhere in the depths of your changing consciousness, you remember being expected. You remember, though the memory makes no sense, though it should be impossible, you remember being thought of by a mind so vast it spans galaxies. You remember being known before you existed. Predestination isn't a theological concept anymore. It's a lived reality burning in your bones. Am I? You have to stop, swallow, force your voice to work. Am I ready? The custodian looks at you for a long moment, and then, for the first time since you met him, he smiles. It's a sad smile, kind, pitying. No, he says gently, no one is ever ready, but it doesn't matter. He gestures toward the threshold. You're already walking forward. And you are, your feet are moving, one step, then another. Your conscious mind hasn't given the command, but your body is obeying something deeper, something fundamental. Like a compass needle swinging north, like water flowing downhill, like a moth drawn to flame. You're walking toward the threshold. The custodians aren't following. You glance back and see them standing at attention, spears held vertically, an honor guard for something they won't witness. Their duty ends here at the threshold. Beyond this point, there is only you and him. 3 steps from the threshold, you try to remember your name, your birth name, the name your mother gave you. It's gone. Not forgotten, erased, overwritten by the true name that he spoke, the name that encompasses everything you are. That name is so present, so overwhelming, so real that your birth name seems like a child's toy by comparison. a label slapped on something far too complex for labels. 2 steps from the threshold, you try to remember your sister's face. The image is blurry, indistinct, like a photograph left in the sun too long. You know you have a sister. Intellectually, you're certain of this fact, but you can't quite picture her, can't quite remember her voice. She's becoming abstract, an idea rather than a person. You want to stop. You want to turn around, run back through the corridors, escape to the surface of Terra, find your apartment and your desk and your cold recaf and pretend none of this ever happened. But you can't. Your body has moved beyond your control. It's being pulled by something greater than will, greater than fear, greater than the survival instinct that has kept humanity alive for millions of years. 1 step from the threshold, you understand what's about to happen. You're going to change. Fundamentally, irrevocably. The person you are, the clerk who counted days, who drank cold recaf, who had a sister and a nephew and a life, that person is about to die. Something will emerge on the other side of this threshold, but it won't be you in any meaningful sense. This is death, not of the body but of the self, and you can't stop it. You step through the threshold. Language fails. That's the first thing you need to understand. The vocabulary of High Gothic, Low Gothic, even the ancient tongues of Terra before Unity, none of them have words adequate to describe what you're experiencing. But I'll try, because you need to understand, because this horror needs to be witnessed, even if the witnessing is imperfect, incomplete, filtered through the limitations of human language. The throne room is impossible. Not difficult to comprehend, not merely vast beyond measuring. Impossible. It exists in more dimensions than your brain has the architecture to process. You're seeing it from multiple angles simultaneously, from above, from below, from inside and outside, from perspectives that don't correspond to any physical location. It's enormous, cathedral-sized, planet-sized, small enough to touch all the walls at once. All of these things are true simultaneously, and the contradiction doesn't resolve because truth itself is negotiable this close to divinity. The walls are covered in writing, billions of words, trillions, the entire history of humanity carved into stone and metal and stranger materials. You can read some of it. Your changing perception lets you see the words from hundreds of meters away with perfect clarity. You see the names of heroes, the dates of battles, the coordinates of worlds, the last words of martyrs, all of it preserved here in this chamber, witnessed by the one being in the universe who remembers everything. The ceiling is lost in golden light. The floor is carved with geometric patterns so complex they make your eyes hurt. Sacred geometry, fractals that repeat at every scale, patterns that encode meaning in their very structure. And in the center of the chamber, on a raised dais surrounded by machinery that looks like a fusion of cathedral and torture device, sits the golden throne. And on the golden throne sits him. Your mind fractures trying to perceive him. He exists in too many states simultaneously. Your visual cortex is receiving contradictory information and has no way to resolve it, so you see everything at once, overlapping, coexisting. Physically, a corpse, ancient beyond ancient, withered flesh stretched over bones, a skull with parchment skin, empty eye sockets that nonetheless burn with light, arms reduced to skeletal branches connected to miles of tubing and cables and machinery, a body that should have decomposed millennia ago, preserved through technology and psychic will and the daily sacrifice of 10,000 souls. Psychically, a sun in human shape, a presence so vast it has its own gravitational pull. Looking at him psychically is like trying to look at a galaxy from the inside. You're seeing individual stars, but also perceiving the overall structure, but also aware of yourself as a point within that structure. And the recursive awareness threatens to collapse your sense of self entirely. Temporally, you see him in multiple moments at once. The warrior he was, tall, proud, perfect, crowned in gold and leading the armies of unity across Terra. The god he's becoming, something so transcendent it can barely maintain contact with physical reality. The corpse he'll be if the throne fails, a skull crumbling to dust, and with it, the Imperium falling into eternal darkness. all versions overlapping, all equally real, all existing simultaneously in the quantum superposition of his being. The Golden Throne itself is a nightmare of sacred technology. Imagine the most beautiful cathedral you've ever seen. Now imagine the most sophisticated medical device. Now imagine a torture implement designed by someone who understands suffering at a molecular level. Now fuse all three together, make it the size of a city block, cover every surface with gold and adamantine and materials that don't have names, and you might approach 1/10 of what you're looking at. Miles of cabling snake away from the throne, diving into the floor, the walls, the ceiling, connecting to systems that extend throughout the Imperial Palace and beyond. Some of the cables pulse with light, data flowing or power or something else. Some of them twitch, writhing like living things. Some of them drip with condensation that sizzles when it hits the floor. And everywhere there are skulls. Thousands of them, tens of thousands, carved into the machinery, embedded in the walls. Actual human skulls, gold-plated and wired into the systems, their empty eye sockets glowing with the same golden light that suffuses everything. These are the psychers, the daily sacrifice. Not all of them. 3 billion plus souls over 10 millennia would fill volumes larger than this chamber, but a representative sample, a reminder, a memorial, a price made visible. Around the base of the throne stand the companions, custodians who never leave his side. You count 10 of them, though you suspect there are more you can't see, standing in dimensions your eyes aren't registering. They're posed in perfect stillness, guardian spears held ready, eyes fixed on the Emperor. How long have they been standing there? The reports say some of them have maintained this vigil for 3,000 years, never sitting, never sleeping, never leaving their post, watching him, watching for threats, watching as 10,000 souls per day burn to fuel his continued existence. Do they still experience time the way you do? Or has 3,000 years of standing in his presence transformed them into something that exists outside normal causality? You realize one of them is looking at you, not at where you're standing, at you, through your eyes into whatever remains of your soul, and you understand you're a threat. You're always a threat. Everything that exists is a potential threat when you're guarding something this essential to reality. If you make one wrong move, if you twitch in a way that suggests hostility, if your changing nature manifests in a direction they don't like, you'll die before your nervous system can register the attack. The companion will move faster than thought and end you, and your last sight will be a golden blur. Somehow, knowing this is almost comforting. At least you wouldn't suffer. You force yourself to look directly at the Emperor. It's like looking into the sun. Your eyes water immediately. Tears stream down your face, not from emotion, but from pure physiological stress. Your corneas are burning. The photoreceptors in your retinas are overloading, firing so rapidly they should be dying en masse. But you can see him, and he sees you. The moment his awareness focuses on you, truly focuses, not the distant background recognition that spoke your name, but actual direct attention. You understand what an insect feels like under a magnifying glass. Except the insect doesn't comprehend what's happening to it. You do. You're aware with perfect clarity that you're being examined by something operating on cognitive levels you can't access. He doesn't speak, not aloud. Not even psychically in the way you've heard psychers describe mental communication. He imparts. Information flows into you, not through your ears or eyes, not through your nervous system. It manifests directly in your consciousness, bypassing every sensory filter, every cognitive defense, planting itself in the core of your being like a seed that immediately blossoms into terrible, beautiful comprehension. You understand why you're here. The knowledge unfolds in your mind with absolute clarity. You are needed to deliver a message, not just any message, not something that could be transmitted via vox or written on parchment or carried by servoskull. This message requires you specifically. The exact confluence of your genetics, your life experiences, your personality, your history, your choices, your neural architecture. Anyone else would fail. Only you can succeed. The message must be delivered to Chapter Master Thuron Vand of the Void Wardens, a space marine chapter stationed in the Segmentum Obscurus. The message must be delivered within 7 days. If you fail, if you die before delivering it, if you're intercepted, if you lose your nerve and run, 70 worlds will fall to chaos. Not eventually, not as a distant possibility, will fall, with certainty. The dominoes are already in motion. Your success or failure is the single point of intervention that determines whether those worlds survive or burn. 70 worlds, each one home to billions of people, people like you were, clerks and dock workers and farmers and children, people living their small, meaningless, beautiful lives, all of them depending on whether you complete this task. No pressure. You understand what this will cost you. The message isn't written down, it's not recorded. It's embedded in you, woven into your consciousness, encoded in the structures of your brain and soul. You are the message. You are the medium. You are the delivery system. When you deliver it, when you finally stand before Chapter Master Vand and open your mouth to speak the Emperor's words, those words will burn through you. Not metaphorically, literally. The divine speech will channel through your throat, your brain, your entire nervous system. Your vocal cords will shred. Your brain tissue will cauterize. Your synapses will fuse. The act of speaking the Emperor's words, of channeling his will through your mortal form, will destroy you from the inside. If you're lucky, you'll die immediately. If you're not lucky, and the information flooding your mind makes clear that you won't be lucky, you'll survive, damaged, broken, forever changed. You'll live the rest of your life unable to speak, unable to communicate in any meaningful way, carrying the memory of his voice but trapped in permanent silence. Your remaining lifespan, approximately 15 years. The surge of divine energy will burn through your cellular structure, your telomeres, your fundamental biological programming. You'll age rapidly, painfully, and you'll spend every remaining day with a migraine that never ends, the aftermath of channeling power your neurology was never designed to handle. This is what your blessing will cost you. You understand that this has already happened. Time is more fluid this close to the throne. Causality becomes negotiable. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the quantum foam of possibility, and the Emperor exists in all of them at once. From his perspective, you've already delivered the message. He's already seen you stand before Chapter Master Vand. He's already watched you burn from the inside as his words flow through you. He's already witnessed your survival, your suffering, your slow death over 15 painful years. The version of you standing here now in the throne room, you're an echo, a necessary causal loop closing, a point in space-time that must exist for the future he's already seen to come to pass. Your choices from this point forward aren't really choices. They're predetermined by the version of you that already made them. You're acting out a script written by your future self, observed by a being who experiences time non-linearly. Free will is a comforting lie we tell ourselves. This close to divinity, the lie becomes impossible to maintain. You will deliver the message because you already have. You will suffer because you already are. You will die, not immediately, but slowly over 15 years, because you're already dying. You understand why 10,000 psychers die daily to sustain him. You feel their deaths, not individually, that would shatter your sanity instantly, but in abstract. 10,000 lights winking out, every single day, forever. You understand the mathematics of it. The cold, brutal calculus that underlies the Imperium's continued existence. 10,000 souls per day equals 365 million per year equals 36. 5 billion per 10,000 years. That's the price. That's what it costs to keep the Astronomican burning, to keep the Imperium united, to hold back the Chaos Gods and keep the Webway Gate sealed and fight the endless war in the warp. One soul against billions. Your life against 70 worlds. Your suffering against quadrillions of lives preserved. The math is clear. The math is always clear. In a universe at war with literal hell, in an Imperium besieged on all sides by Xenos and heretics and demons, there is no room for sentimentality. There is only the brutal arithmetic of survival. Some must die so more can live. You're just one more number in that equation, but, and this is the part that breaks you, you also understand that he knows. He knows every one of their names. Every single psyker who burns to sustain him, he knows. He carries them. He remembers them, not just as numbers in a ledger, but as individuals, as people, as souls with histories and families and dreams that will never be realized. He carries all of them. The weight of 3 billion souls, all pressing down on his consciousness all the time forever. That's part of his torment, part of his sacrifice. He doesn't want this. He never wanted this. But he accepts it because the alternative is worse. The alternative is the death of humanity. The extinction of every human soul in the galaxy, consumed by chaos or devoured by tyrannids or enslaved by xenos. So he sits and suffers and endures and asks the same of you. You understand that he's sorry. This is the worst part. Somehow, incomprehensibly, this is the worst part. He doesn't want to use you this way. He doesn't want to destroy you. He doesn't take pleasure in your suffering. If there were any other way, any other path, any other possibility, he would take it. But there isn't. You are the only solution to this particular problem, the only variable that results in the 70 worlds surviving. And so he uses you the way a surgeon uses a scalpel, the way a general uses soldiers, the way a gardener burns out disease to save the whole, with regret, with sorrow, with a grief so vast it spans galaxies. But he uses you nonetheless because he has to. And understanding this, understanding that your suffering is regretted but still inflicted, this is the psychological horror that no one warns you about. It would be easier if he were cruel, if he were indifferent, if you could hate him for what he's doing to you. But you can't, because he's doing it out of love, love for humanity. Love expressed at such magnitude that individual humans become expendable in service of the collective. The love of a gardener for his garden, who will prune branches and burn out disease even though each branch, each leaf, each individual bloom has its own small beauty. You are being sacrificed by someone who wishes there were another way. And somehow that's worse than being sacrificed by someone who doesn't care. The impartation ends. The information stops flowing. The connection, that terrible, beautiful connection to a mind vast beyond comprehension, severs. You collapse, your legs give out. You hit the floor, stone so hot it should sear your flesh, but doesn't because you're not quite human anymore. You're shaking, trembling. Your entire body is vibrating at a frequency that shouldn't be survivable. Blood pours from your nose. Thin streams of red running down your lips, dripping onto the golden floor. Your eyes are watering uncontrollably. You're making sounds, whimpering, gasping, that you didn't consciously decide to make. You've just been in direct psychic contact with the God Emperor of mankind, and you survived. That shouldn't be possible, but you're changed now, changed enough to withstand it, changed enough that your mortal form can serve as a conduit for his will without immediately burning to ash, changed enough that you're not quite you anymore. You try to stand, it takes 3 attempts. Your legs don't want to support your weight. Your inner ear is sending contradictory signals about which direction is up. But eventually you manage, standing, breathing, existing. You look at your hands, they're glowing, faintly. A soft golden radiance emanating from your skin, like you've swallowed the sun and it's shining through you. When you close your eyes, you can still see the glow through your eyelids. You touch your face. Your fingers come away wet with blood. Mixed with the blood is something else, a fluid that glimmers gold in the throne room's light. Your tears are turning to gold. Literally, not metaphorically. The lacrimal fluid in your tear ducts is being transubstantiated by proximity to divinity, transformed into something precious and impossible and wrong. A hand on your shoulder, gentle but firm. One of the companions has approached. You didn't see him move. Custodians are fast, faster than human eyes can track, but he's there now, steadying you. The audience is complete, he says. His voice is kind, almost pitying. You are blessed, you are marked, you carry his will. You try to speak, try to ask what happens now, try to ask if you'll ever be normal again, but your voice won't work. Your throat is seized, locked, unwilling or unable to produce sound. The irony is devastating. Soon you'll speak words that will destroy your voice forever, but right now in this moment you can't speak at all. The custodian seems to understand without words. "Come," he says. "You will be given 7 days to prepare. 7 days to reach the Void Wardens. 7 days before the message must be delivered." He guides you toward the threshold, away from the throne, away from him, away from the epicenter of divine power that has rewritten you at a fundamental level. You glance back one last time. The Emperor sits upon the golden throne, a desiccated corpse animated by will that spans galaxies. Around him, the companions stand eternal vigil. Behind him, the machinery of the throne extends into darkness, connecting to systems you'll never understand. And for just an instant, a fraction of a second, you could swear those empty eye sockets turn toward you. You could swear you feel his attention one last time. And you hear, or think you hear, or imagine you hear, 4 words that will haunt you for the rest of your life. "Forgive me, my child." Then you're through the threshold, back in the chamber with the astronomicon, and the moment is gone. But you'll remember it forever. The God Emperor of mankind apologized to you for destroying your life to save 70 worlds, for using you as ammunition in a war that spans millennia, for loving humanity so much that individual humans become expendable. He apologized. And you don't know if that makes it better or worse. They take you to a recovery chamber. The word recovery is a sick joke and everyone knows it. You don't recover from this. There's no convalescence that returns you to what you were. The medici who examine you, the servitors that attend to your basic needs, the custodian who checks on you every few hours, they all know the truth. You're not recovering, you're stabilizing, like a chemical reaction that's reached equilibrium. Like a building that stopped collapsing but will never be structurally sound again. The chamber is small, austere, a bed with sheets that feel like silk, far too luxurious for someone of your former station, a small table, a single chair, a wash basin with water that runs clear and cold. There's a window, but it doesn't show the outside world. It displays a pic capture of a garden somewhere, flowers blooming in colors that seem too vivid to be real. You sit on the edge of the bed and try to remember who you were. The clerk, the one who counted days, the one with a sister and a nephew, the one whose biggest concern was lower back pain and cold recalf. That person is dead. You know this with absolute certainty. That person walked into the throne room and didn't walk out. What emerged, what's sitting on this bed, wearing his skin, carrying his memories like second-hand clothing, is something else. A messenger, a weapon, a tool shaped for a single purpose. The door opens. A medici enters, accompanied by a servitor carrying a tray of instruments. The medici is young, maybe 30 standard years, with the kind of efficient, professional demeanor that comes from years of dealing with things that would break most people. She sees you and stops, just for a moment, just long enough for you to notice. Then she continues, her professional mask sliding back into place. "I'm Medici Secundus Careth Vane," she says. Her voice is steady, but you can hear the undercurrent of tension. "I've been assigned to assess your physical condition. May I approach?" You nod. You still can't speak, and you're starting to wonder if you ever will again before the moment comes to deliver the message. She approaches slowly, carefully, the way you'd approach a wild animal. She's carrying an auspex, a medical scanner, and when she activates it, the device immediately starts throwing error codes. "Throne," she mutters. "The readings are inconsistent." She adjusts the settings, tries again. The auspex whines, struggles, finally provides something resembling coherent data. Her eyes widen. "Your vital signs are phasing," she says. "Your heartbeat is there, then it's not, then it's there again. Your body temperature is fluctuating between 36 and 43 degrees Celsius. Your neural activity is." She trails off, staring at the readout. "I've never seen anything like this. Your brain is firing in patterns that shouldn't be possible. You should be having seizures. You should be comatose." She looks up at you, and there's something in her eyes that might be fear or might be awe or might be both. "What did he do to you?" You can't answer, but you understand what she's asking. What did the Emperor do to you? What did he change? What are you now? You don't know. You're not sure you want to know. She sets the auspex aside and performs a more traditional examination. Takes your pulse. She has to try 3 times before she can get a consistent count. Checks your eyes with a lumen. You can see her flinch when your pupils reflect the light back with a golden sheen. Asks you to follow her finger with your gaze, and you do, tracking it perfectly, except halfway through the motion you realize you're not just seeing her finger, you're seeing the potential paths it could take, dozens of futures branching out from each instant. Open your mouth, she says. You do. She peers inside with a small light, examining your teeth, your tongue, your throat. She freezes. The inside of your mouth is. She stops, composes herself. There's writing, on your soft palate, in a language I don't recognize. Writing inside your mouth. You run your tongue across the roof of your mouth. You can feel it, raised patterns like scar tissue, except you know with absolute certainty they weren't there yesterday. The message. It's being engraved into your flesh, word by word, letter by letter, preparing itself for the moment of delivery. You're becoming a living scripture. The Medici steps back. She's trying very hard to maintain professional composure, but you can see the cracks forming. I'm going to recommend against drawing blood, she says quietly. The last time someone tried to take a sample from someone in your condition, the needle shattered, not bent, shattered, like trying to puncture ceramic. She makes some notes on her data slate. Her hands are shaking slightly. You're stable enough, she says. Physically, you're not in immediate danger, but I have to advise you, you're not human anymore. Not entirely. Whatever you were before, whatever you're becoming. It's beyond my training to assess. She pauses at the door, looks back at you. They say it's an honor, she says, to be chosen by him to carry his will. She swallows hard. I'm so sorry. Then she's gone and you're alone again. They bring you food. You eat it because the motions are familiar, chewing, swallowing, the basic mechanics of sustaining biological function, but you don't taste it. Or rather, you taste too much. You can identify every ingredient, every molecular compound, every trace element. The bread isn't just bread, it's wheat from a specific region of a specific agri-world, milled exactly 47 days ago, baked this morning at 400 hours. The meat isn't just meat, it's vat-grown protein from processing plant designation alpha-7, flavored with synthetic compounds that your changing senses can break down into their chemical formulas. The joy of eating is gone. Replaced by analytical understanding of the fuel processing function your digestive system is performing. You set the tray aside, half-finished. A servitor, a lobotomized human converted into a biological robot, comes to collect the tray. It doesn't react to your presence at all. No fear, no recognition, just mindless execution of programmed tasks. You envy it. At least the servitor doesn't have to know what's been done to it. Time passes. You're not sure how much. The pick capture of the garden cycles through what might be a day-night schedule, the flowers opening with simulated dawn and closing with simulated dusk. You watch it for hours, trying to find comfort in the beauty, but all you can see are the pixels, the artificiality, the way it's a crude approximation of nature rather than nature itself. Everything has become like that. You see the mechanisms behind everything, the false patterns, the illusion of randomness that conceals underlying order. It's exhausting. The door opens again. You expect another Medici, another servitor, another custodian checking on the Imperial asset that must be preserved for 7 days. Instead, it's a psyker. You know she's a psyker immediately. She carries the distinctive markings of the soulbound, the ritual that chains sanctioned witches to the Emperor's will. Her eyes are gone, replaced with bionic implants that glow with faint amber light. Purity seals cover her robes. A sanctioning brand marks her forehead, the symbol that says she's been judged, tested, and deemed safe enough to use her powers in service of the Imperium. She takes 2 steps into the room and stops. Then she starts crying, not sobbing, not hysterical. Just silent tears streaming down her face, soaking into her robes. I'm sorry, she says, her voice is hoarse. I was sent to assess your psychic signature, to verify that you haven't been corrupted by contact with the throne, to make sure you're not. She stops, wipes uselessly at her face. The tears keep coming. But I can't look at you. It's like trying to look at the sun. You're burned into my psychic perception. Everywhere I look, you're there, an afterimage that won't fade. She's backing toward the door. You're not corrupted, she says. You're the opposite of corrupted. You're so pure it hurts to perceive you, like staring into a furnace, like... She makes a helpless gesture. I'm sorry, I can't help you. No one can help you. You're beyond help now. Beyond anything except your purpose. She flees, actually runs from the room, her robes flapping behind her, leaving you alone once more. Beyond help. The words echo in your mind. You look at your hands again. They're still glowing faintly. The golden light seems brighter now, or maybe your perception is adjusting, letting you see yourself the way the psyker sees you, as a point of divine radiance too bright to look at directly. You wonder what your sister would see if she looked at you now. You wonder if you'll ever get the chance to find out. On the third day, or what you think is the third day, time is still negotiable. They tell you it's time to leave the palace. A custodian escorts you through corridors that seem different from the ones you descended. Maybe they are different. Maybe the palace reconfigures itself. Maybe your changing perception is altering how you process spatial relationships. You've stopped trying to understand. You emerge into something resembling normalcy. A transit hub, servitors loading cargo, officials checking manifests, the ambient noise of a functioning spaceport and people staring at you. Everyone, all of them. Work stops as you pass. Conversations die mid-sentence. A servitor drops the crate it's carrying. Servitors don't do that. They're programmed for perfect efficiency and just stands there frozen as you walk by. A child is crying. His mother is holding him, trying to comfort him, but she's staring at you too. And in her eyes, you see it clearly, fear. They're afraid of you, all of them. You want to tell them you're not dangerous. You're just a clerk, nobody special. You process transit documents for 6 years. You're not a threat. But you can't speak, and even if you could, it would be a lie. You are dangerous, not because you want to be. Not because you've chosen violence, but because you carry the Emperor's will, and divinity is always dangerous. Like carrying a nuclear warhead in your chest, like being a loaded weapon with no safety. They're right to fear you. The ship they've assigned you is small, fast, a courier vessel designed for rapid transit between systems. The crew is minimal, 3 people, all of them chosen specifically for this task. The captain meets you at the boarding ramp. She's middle-aged, scarred, with the kind of face that suggests she's seen things that would break most people and survived anyway. She looks you up and down, nods once. "I'm Captain Yeveth Crane," she says. "I've been briefed on the situation. I know what you are. I know where we're going. I know we have 7 days." She doesn't salute, doesn't bow, doesn't show the kind of deference most people show in the presence of someone who's been touched by the Emperor. Instead, she extends her hand. You stare at it for a moment, confused. It's been days since anyone has willingly touched you. Days since anyone has treated you like a person rather than a relic or a weapon or a thing to be feared. Slowly, you extend your own hand. She grasps it firmly. Her palm is warm, calloused, human. "Welcome aboard the Penitent's Grace," she says. "We'll get you where you need to go. You have my word." Something in your chest, something you thought had died in the throne room, unclenches slightly. Maybe you're not completely alone. The Penitent's Grace departs Terra 3 hours later. You watch through a viewport as the throne world falls away, getting smaller, eventually becoming just another star in the endless black. You're standing in what the captain calls the observation deck, a generous name for a small chamber with reinforced viewports. The other 2 crew members have been avoiding you, but Captain Crane seems less affected. She's here now, standing a respectful distance away, looking out at the stars. "First time leaving Terra?" she asks. You nod. "It's always strange," she says. "Leaving the throne world, like leaving your mother's house for the first time. You know you have to do it. You know it's necessary. But part of you wants to run back, hide in familiar spaces." She's quiet for a moment. "I've been a courier for 20 years, she says. "I've carried a lot of strange cargo, classified documents, inquisitorial agents. Once I carried a box that hummed and made everyone on board have the same nightmare, but I've never carried." She trails off. "Someone like you, someone marked." You turn to look at her. Even that simple motion feels wrong now, too smooth, too precise, like you're controlling your body with something other than normal neurology. They told me what you're carrying, she continues. The message, the purpose. They told me what it'll cost you to deliver it. She's still looking at the stars. 70 worlds, billions of lives, all depending on whether we get you to the Void Wardens in time. She finally turns to face you. I want you to know you're not alone in this. My crew and I, we're with you. Whatever you need, whatever we can do to help, we'll do it. You understand? You can't respond verbally, but you manage a nod. And you feel something you haven't felt since the voice spoke your name, gratitude. Get some rest, Captain Crane says. We've got 6 days of transit ahead of us, and when we arrive... She doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't need to. When you arrive, everything ends. You try to return to normal life, at least mentally. Try to remember what it felt like to be you. In your assigned quarters, small but functional, with a bed and a desk and a small locker for personal belongings you don't have, you attempt to write, to record your thoughts. To leave something behind that proves you existed as more than just a message delivery system. You pick up the stylus, position it over the data slate, and find you can't remember how to write your birth name. The motor memory is there, your hand knows the motions. But when you try to think about the name, try to visualize it, try to recall the letters, there's nothing, just the true name, the name he spoke. The name that encompasses everything you are and ever were. You try to write your sister's name instead. The stylus moves, forms letters, but halfway through, you realize you're writing in High Gothic. Ancient, formal High Gothic that you never studied, never learned, but now flows from your hand as naturally as breathing. You're writing a prayer. You don't remember deciding to write a prayer. The stylus falls from your nerveless fingers. You stare at the data slate, at the words you didn't consciously choose to write. Emperor, protect us, for we are far from your light. Emperor, guide us, for we are lost in darkness. Emperor, forgive us, for we are weak and frail, and our service is all we have to offer. Is that you? Are those your thoughts? Or is the message already taking over, rewriting your consciousness word by word, preparing you for the moment when you'll open your mouth and become nothing but his voice? You delete the prayer, close the data slate, sit on the bed with your head in your hands. The golden light from your skin reflects off the metal walls, turning your quarters into a shrine. On the 4th day, you try to remember your nephew's face. You concentrate, focus. Reach back into memories that should be vivid. Birthdays, family meals, the time he asked you why the sky was black instead of blue and you tried to explain orbital mechanics to a 5-year-old. The memories are there, but they're distant, fading. Like watching holovids with the quality degraded, the images breaking up into static. You remember his laugh, or do you? Maybe you're just remembering the idea of a child's laugh. Maybe the specific timbre, the unique sound of his laugh, is already gone. You try to remember your sister's voice. Gone. Your apartment, gone. The smell of recaf, gone. Every mundane, beautiful human detail that made up your life is slipping away, replaced by divine purpose. You're being hollowed out, scraped clean, transformed into a vessel with room for only one thing, the message. You realize with dawning horror that by the time you deliver it, you won't remember why you should care about those 70 worlds. You won't remember what it means to be human. You'll just be a voice, a tool, a weapon fired and discarded. You're dying. Not physically, not yet, but in every way that matters, the person you were is already dead, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. On the 5th day, Captain Crane finds you in the observation deck again. You've been standing here for hours, watching the stars, trying to find comfort in their cold, distant light. She doesn't say anything at first, just stands beside you, sharing the silence. Finally, there are others you know. You turn slightly, questioning. Others like you, she explains. People who have been called, who have heard their names, who survived the experience. She's choosing her words carefully. They find each other, help each other. There's a place, a sanctuary called Haven's Rest in the Ultima Segmentum. After this is over, after you deliver the message. If you want, I can take you there. You look at her, really look at her, and you see something in her eyes that makes everything click into place. She knows. She knows because she's seen this before, maybe even experienced it herself. I was called once, she says quietly. 18 years ago, nothing as dramatic as you. I didn't go to the throne room, but I heard my name, felt his attention, and it changed me, made me aware of things I shouldn't be aware of, made it impossible to go back to normal life. She touches her temple just briefly. I see futures, not clearly, not like actual prophecy, but sometimes when I make a decision, I know how it'll turn out. I know with absolute certainty whether someone will survive or die based on choices I haven't made yet. She looks back at the stars. It's a gift, they tell me, a blessing, but it means I carry the weight of every death I could have prevented if I'd chosen differently. Every person who dies because I turned left instead of right, because I said yes instead of no. She's quiet for a moment. Haven's Rest is where people like us go, where we can exist without being feared or worshipped or turned into symbols, where we can just be broken together. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a small data chip. Coordinates, encoded. When you're ready, and you probably won't be ready for months, maybe years, find a way to get there. They'll take you in. They'll understand. She presses the chip into your hand. Her palm is warm against your glowing skin. You're not alone, she says again. And you won't be alone after this is over. That's the one promise I can make you. Then she leaves, and you're standing there with a data chip that represents the only future you have left. A sanctuary for the broken blessed. A place where people go to wait for the Emperor to call their names again. Because that's the horror no one mentioned. Once you're marked, once you've proven useful, he might call you again. And again. And again. Until there's nothing left but divine will animating a human-shaped puppet. You close your fist around the data chip. It's the only hope you have, so you'll hold on to it. On the 6th day, the penitent's grace enters the segmentum obscurus. You feel it. The moment the ship crosses into this sector of space, something shifts. The message, silent until now, a dormant presence in your consciousness, activates. It's like having a second heartbeat, a rhythm pulsing in your bones that isn't your own. You can feel the words forming, pressing against the inside of your skull, demanding release. Not yet, but soon. You collapse in your quarters, fall to your knees, hands pressed against your temples, as the message surges through your neural pathways like electricity through copper wire. Captain Crane finds you there 10 minutes later. She takes one look and understands. We're close, she says. The Void Warden's Fortress Monastery is 18 hours away. 18 hours, you nod weakly. The pressure in your head is building. The words want out. They're burning inside you, demanding voice, demanding delivery, demanding purpose. Can you hold on? She asks. You don't know, but you nod anyway, because what choice do you have? Good, she says, because 70 worlds are counting on you. Billions of people who don't know your name, who will never know your sacrifice, who will live and die and never realize they existed because you held on. She helps you to your feet. 18 hours, she repeats. Then it's over, then you can rest. But you want to tell her that it'll never be over, that you'll carry this for the rest of your life. That rest is a lie we tell ourselves to make suffering bearable, but you can't speak, and maybe that's a blessing. Maybe silence is the only mercy you have left. On the 7th day, exactly 7 days after the Emperor spoke your name, the penitent's grace approaches the Void Warden's Fortress Monastery. You're in the observation deck, watching as the fortress grows larger in the viewport. It's carved into an asteroid, a Gothic cathedral castle drifting in the void, bristling with weapons and sensors and the physical manifestation of space marine paranoia. The message is screaming now. Not audibly, you're still silent, but psychically. Every cell in your body is vibrating with the need to speak, to release, to fulfill the purpose you were reshaped for. Your eyes are bleeding, thin streams of gold-tinted red running down your face. Your hands are shaking. Your teeth are chattering despite the comfortable temperature in the ship. You're a bomb about to detonate. Captain Crane's voice crackles over the Vox system. Void Warden's command. This is the penitent's grace, courier vessel carrying priority communication for Chapter Master Thuron Van. We request immediate landing clearance and direct escort to the Chapter Master's presence. This is a matter of utmost urgency. Authorization code Vermilion Throne Imperative. There's a pause. Then a deep, resonant voice, the voice of a space marine, augmented and perfect and terrifying, responds. Authorization confirmed. Landing Bay 3. Chapter Master Vand will meet you personally. Be aware, any hostile action will result in immediate termination. The ship shudders as it enters the fortress's docking bay. Through the viewport, you can see space marines moving in perfect formation, bolters ready, eyes fixed on the penitent's grace. They know something's coming, they just don't know what. Captain Crane appears at the observation deck entrance. "It's time," she says. "Are you ready?" You turn to face her. Your eyes are glowing now, bright enough that she has to squint. Golden light pours from your tear ducts, your mouth when you open it, even from beneath your fingernails. You're not human anymore. You're a message made flesh. You nod. "Then Emperor protect you," she whispers, "and Emperor forgive us all for what we ask of you." The boarding ramp lowers. You walk forward into the landing bay, into the presence of the Void Wardens, into the final moments of your life as anything resembling human. The message is ready. The Emperor's will must be done, and you are the instrument of its doing. Chapter Master Thuron Vand is waiting in the landing bay. He's standing at the center of a half-circle of his battle brothers, 20 space marines in full battle plate. Ceramite painted the deep blue of the void, weapons held at ready. Behind them, serfs and servitors maintain careful distance, watching with the kind of attention reserved for unexploded ordnance. But Vand himself stands alone at the circle's apex, 300 years old, 3 centuries of service to the Emperor. His armor bears the scars of 1,000 battles, burns from plasma, gouges from Xeno's claws, dents from impacts that would have liquefied a normal human. His face is a topographical map of warfare, augmetic left eye glowing blue, jaw reinforced with adamantium after a greenskin's axe shattered it on Cronus, a white beard braided with prayer scrolls and purity seals. He radiates authority, certainty, the absolute confidence of someone who has never doubted his purity, his faith, his purpose. He's a legend, a hero, a being who has saved billions through his actions, and he's been compromised. You know this with absolute certainty now that you're in his presence. The message knows him, can sense the demon shard embedded in his secondary heart, dormant, patient, waiting for the perfect moment to activate and turn this warrior of the Emperor into an instrument of chaos. Vand looks at you. His superhuman perception catalogs every detail, your glowing eyes, your golden tears, the way reality seems slightly uncertain around you. His expression doesn't change, but you see his hand tighten fractionally on his power sword's hilt. "I am Chapter Master Thuron Vand of the Void Wardens." His voice is thunder wrapped in velvet, the product of augmented vocal cords and 3 centuries of command. "You requested my presence. You invoked throne-level authorization. Explain yourself." You open your mouth. The message floods forward. It's not your voice. That's the first thing you notice. In the detached way, you might notice your arm being cut off, with distant surprise and the understanding that shock is the only thing preventing immediate agony. The voice that emerges from your throat is impossible. It's 1,000 voices speaking in perfect unison. It's the Emperor's voice, or as close as mortal vocal cords can approximate something that vast. It's high Gothic so ancient and formal that even the Space Marines have to strain to parse it, yet everyone understands it at a level beyond language. It's reality speaking. The words are brief, precise, 8 seconds of crystallized divine will. Thronvand, Chapter Master of the Void Wardens. Your purity has been violated. In your secondary heart rests a demon shard, planted during the KRONUS campaign, 17 years past. In 3 days it will activate. You will slaughter the SCGMENTUM command. 70 WORLDS will fall. Undergo immediate surgery. Remove your secondary heart. This is the Emperor's will. 8 seconds. That's how long it takes to speak the words that will save 70 worlds. And in those 8 seconds, you burn. The sensation starts in your chest, Heat that isn't temperature, light that isn't photons, energy that doesn't correspond to any known physical phenomenon. It spreads upward through your torso, through your lungs, climbing your throat like liquid fire. Your vocal cords shred. You can feel them tearing, individual fibers snapping under the stress of channeling divine speech. The tissue cauterizes immediately, burned, sealed, fused into scar tissue. Your throat is being destroyed from the inside. The light behind your eyes intensifies. The golden glow that's been present since the throne room becomes blinding. You're sure your eyeballs are boiling in their sockets. You can smell burning. Your own eyes cooking. Blood pours from your nose, from your ears, from the corners of your eyes. But it's not entirely blood anymore. Mixed with the red is that impossible golden fluid, the transubstantiated tears, your very biology being rewritten by the passage of divine will through mortal flesh. Your brain is on fire, not metaphorically. Your neurons are firing so rapidly, processing so much information, channeling so much psychic energy that your brain tissue is literally heating up. You can feel it, the pressure behind your skull, the sensation of your gray matter expanding, pressing against the inside of your cranium. Your bones ache, all of them, vibrating at frequencies that should shatter them. You're being used as a tuning fork, resonating with cosmic forces your skeletal structure was never designed to handle. And through it all, through the agony, through the destruction, through the fundamental violation of your biology, you remain conscious. That's the cruelest part. You're aware of everything that's happening to you. You feel every nerve ending dying. You experience every moment of tissue damage. You're present for your own destruction. The Emperor keeps you conscious because the message must be delivered by a living soul. A conscious, aware, suffering soul. That's what makes it authentic. That's what makes it his will rather than just recorded words. You have to be awake to burn. The message ends. 8 seconds. 70 worlds saved. You collapse. The floor rushes up to meet you, or maybe you're falling and the floor is staying still. Spatial relationships have become negotiable. You hit the deck plating with a sound that's too loud, too solid, wrong in ways you can't articulate. You're shaking, convulsing. Your body is trying to process what just happened to it and failing spectacularly. Shock is setting in. Your cardiovascular system is confused. Your heart is beating too fast, then too slow, then irregularly, trying to find a rhythm that makes sense in a body that's been fundamentally violated. Blood pools around you. Yours, definitely yours, too much of it. You're dimly aware that you shouldn't be able to lose this much blood and remain conscious, but apparently the Emperor's will is keeping you alive. For now, you can't see. Your vision has gone white, then gold, then white again. Your optic nerves are fried. Maybe permanently, maybe temporarily. You don't know, you can't hear properly. There's a high-pitched ringing that drowns out everything else. The sound of your own neurons dying en masse like a choir of screaming nerve endings. You can't speak. You try, some instinct demanding you explain, you apologize, you say something, but nothing emerges. Your vocal cords are gone, fused into scar tissue, destroyed by the passage of divine speech. You're silent. You'll be silent forever, but you're aware of movement around you, footsteps. Heavy ones, space marine boots on deck plating. Voices muffled, distant, filtered through the tinnitus that's taken up residence in your damaged ears. And then, cutting through everything, you feel someone kneel beside you. Large hands, gene-forged, powerful enough to crush your skull like an egg, touch your shoulder with surprising gentleness. Through the white-gold haze obscuring your vision, you see a shape. Blue ceramic, a bearded face, eyes that are streaming with tears. Chapter Master Vand, he's crying. A space marine, 300 years old, psycho-conditioned to know no fear, gene-crafted to be beyond human weakness, is crying. Emperor, forgive me. His voice is broken, raw with emotion that space marines aren't supposed to be capable of. Emperor, forgive me, I didn't know. He's cradling your head, supporting you. And you understand through the pain and the shock and the dying that he's just had his entire worldview shattered. He believed in his purity, absolutely, completely. 3 centuries of faith, of certainty, of knowing he was the Emperor's true servant. And in 8 seconds you proved it was a lie. He's compromised, violated, corrupted despite his faith. And his pride, his absolute conviction in his own righteousness, almost doomed 70 worlds. The realization is destroying him. Get the apothecaries. He's shouting, now save this soul, he's a martyr, his voice breaks. He saved us all and I don't even know his name. You want to tell him your name, want to offer him that small comfort, but you have no voice, no way to communicate. Your identity died with your vocal cords. You're anonymous, a nameless messenger, a tool used and discarded. Maybe that's fitting. You fade in and out of consciousness as they work on you. Apothecaries, space marine medical specialists, are clustered around you, moving with efficient precision. You catch fragments of their work, disconnected moments of awareness. Someone is intubating you, forcing air into lungs that have forgotten how to breathe on their own. An IV line is being inserted into your arm. The needle bends against your skin. They have to use a specialized drill to penetrate. Drugs are flooding your system. Painkillers, stimulants, things that should knock you unconscious but don't because your biology has been so fundamentally altered that normal pharmacology no longer applies. Someone is scanning your brain. You hear the auspex screeching, protesting, throwing error codes. His neural pathways have been, Emperor's mercy, they've been burned, cauterized from the inside. The damage is catastrophic. Will he survive? Survive, yes, recover, I don't know if that word has meaning anymore. You slip under again. When you wake, you're in a medici facility. The room is clean, sterile. It smells of antiseptic and incense. Medical equipment surrounds your bed, monitors tracking vital signs that phase in and out of normal ranges, IV stands with bags of clear fluid dripping into your veins, servitors standing by with surgical tools in case you need emergency intervention. You try to assess the damage. You can see. That's something. Your vision has returned, though it's changed. You see in spectrums you didn't before. Ultraviolet halos around the lights, infrared heat signatures of the servitors and stranger things. You see the souls of the serfs who occasionally pass by your room, little flames of consciousness burning in human-shaped containers. You can hear. The tinnitus has faded to a constant low hum, like standing next to machinery that never turns off. It's annoying but manageable. You cannot speak. You knew this already, but testing it confirms. Your vocal cords are gone. You open your mouth, try to form words, and nothing emerges. Just a faint whistling sound as air passes through the scarred ruin of your throat. You cannot taste. Food and water might as well be ash. The sensory processing that allowed you to enjoy flavor is dead. And there's pain, constant, unrelenting. A migraine that never ends, pressure behind your eyes that feels like your skull is too small for your brain. It's not debilitating, you can function through it, but it never stops, never even diminishes. This is what you have left. This is what you bought with your service, silence, pain, and a lifespan cut in half. A data slate is on the table beside your bed. You pick it up, activate it. A text-to-speech program is already loaded, someone anticipated you'd need it. You type, "Where is Chapter Master Van?" The servitor stationed in your room, limited intelligence but capable of basic responses, activates. Chapter Master Van underwent surgery 3 hours after your arrival. His secondary heart was removed and destroyed. Analysis confirmed the presence of a demon shard, exactly as the message warned. The surgery was successful. The Chapter Master lives. 70 worlds are saved. 70 worlds. Billions of people, quadrillions of future lives branching from this moment. All preserved because you delivered 8 seconds of divine speech. The math is clear. The calculus is undeniable. You should feel proud, satisfied, certain that your sacrifice had meaning. You feel nothing. No, that's not true. You feel grief for yourself, for the person you were, for the life you didn't get to live. Chapter Master Van comes to see you on the 2nd day of your recovery. He enters alone without his armor, dressed in simple robes. The absence of his power armor makes him look smaller, more human, though he's still massive by baseline standards. He sits in the chair beside your bed. For a long moment he says nothing. just looks at you with eyes that carry the weight of 3 centuries of service and 1 moment of absolute failure. "I owe you everything," he finally says. "My life, my honor, the lives of every battle brother in this fortress, the lives of 70 worlds." His voice is quiet, measured, and I don't even know what to call you. You pick up the data slate. Type slowly, "I don't remember my name. He took it when he spoke my true name. I'm nobody, I'm just the messenger." Vand reads it, something breaks behind his eyes. "The demon shard was planted 17 years ago," he says, "on Cronus, during a battle against the forces of chaos. An enemy champion struck me, his blade pierced my armor, penetrated my secondary heart. My apothecaries examined me afterward, found nothing. The wound healed perfectly." He touches his chest where the scar must be. "For 17 years I've been corrupted, walking around with a piece of the warp inside me, and I never knew. I was so certain of my purity, so convinced that my faith was armor enough." He's struggling with this. You can see it. The absolute certainty of 300 years being shattered in 8 seconds. "I would have slaughtered them," he continues. "In 3 days I was scheduled to attend a segmentum command meeting. 73 military and political leaders in one room. I would have walked in, and the demon shard would have activated, and I would have killed them all before anyone could stop me." His hands are shaking. Space Marines don't shake. "And I never would have known. Never would have been aware of what I was doing. I would have died thinking I was serving chaos, died with my last thought being horror at my own corruption." He looks at you. "You saved me from that, you saved my soul, and it cost you." He trails off, taking in the medical equipment, the scarring visible on your throat, the golden light still faintly emanating from your eyes. "Everything," he finishes quietly. "You type 70 worlds, billions of people, the math is clear." He reads it and makes a sound that might be a laugh or might be a sob. "The math is clear," he repeats. "One soul for billions, the imperial truth laid bare. We tell ourselves it's glorious. We tell ourselves it's willing sacrifice. We tell ourselves the honored dead go gladly." He leans forward, elbows on his knees, head bowed. "But I see what it cost you, and it wasn't glorious. It wasn't willing. You had no choice. He spoke your name and you became his instrument, and there's no glory in being used as ammunition." He's quiet for a moment. "I can offer you anything," he says. "A place here as an honored servant of the chapter, wealth, a peaceful life on a paradise world. Anything within my power to grant, it's yours. Just tell me what you want." You stare at the data slate for a long time. What do you want? You want your voice back. You want your life back. You want to wake up in your apartment, drink cold recaf, process transit documents, and have your biggest concern be lower back pain. You want your sister and your nephew and your small, meaningless, beautiful life. But you can't have any of that, so you type, "I want to go home." Vand reads it, understands what you're really saying. "Home doesn't exist anymore," he says gently. You type, "I know, but I want to go there anyway." He assigns you a ship, a small courier vessel with a crew who have been briefed. "Handle with care. This soul is sacred. This soul is broken. This soul has paid a price none of us can comprehend." Captain Yeveth Crane volunteers to pilot it. You're not surprised. She understands. She's been called once herself. She knows what it means to be marked, to be changed, to be broken in service of the Emperor's will. On the day you leave the fortress monastery, Chapter Master Van stands at the landing bay to see you off. Behind him, the entire chapter has assembled, 200 space marines in full battle plate standing at attention. As you walk toward the ship, slowly, painfully, your body still recovering from being used as a divine conduit, they salute. Every single one. A chapter of space marines, angels of death, warriors who know no fear, saluting a nameless clerk who delivered 8 seconds of divine speech. It should feel like an honor. It feels like a funeral, because it is. It's the funeral for the person you were. The person who died in the throne room but kept walking for 7 more days, animating a corpse long enough to fulfill one last purpose. You board the ship. Terra is waiting. Home is waiting. Even though home doesn't exist anymore. Even though the person who lived there is dead. You're going back anyway, because you don't know what else to do. The ship that takes you away from the Void Warden's fortress is quiet. Captain Crane respects your need for silence. Both the silence you have no choice about, your voice gone forever, and the silence you choose, the retreat into yourself that's the only defense left against a reality that has become unbearable. You spend the first 3 days of transit in your quarters, lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, counting the moments between heartbeats because it's the only thing that still feels real. Your body is healing, or at least stabilizing. The immediate damage from channeling divine speech has been addressed. Your throat has scarred over. Your burned neural pathways have formed new connections, strange and irregular but functional. Your cardiovascular system has found a new rhythm, one that's irregular and wrong but keeps you alive. The pain never stops. The migraine, the pressure behind your eyes, the sensation that your skull is too small for what's inside it, these are permanent now. Part of your new normal. The Medici gave you drugs, suppressants, things that should help. They don't. Your changed biology metabolizes them too fast or wrong or not at all. So you live with pain, constant, unrelenting. It's almost comforting in its consistency. On the 4th day, Captain Crane knocks on your door. You're sitting at the small desk, staring at a data slate, trying to write something, anything, that captures what you've experienced. But every time you start, the words feel inadequate. Like trying to describe an ocean to someone who's never seen water. Like trying to explain color to someone born blind. How do you describe having your humanity burned away? How do you put into words the sensation of being unmade and remade as an instrument? How do you communicate the grief of losing yourself while still technically being alive? You can't, so the data slate remains mostly blank. May I come in? Crane's voice is gentle through the door. You tap the control and it slides open. She enters carrying 2 cups of recaf. She offers you one. You take it out of politeness, even though you can't taste it, even though drinking it is just going through motions that used to mean something. She sits in the small chair across from you, drinks her own recaf, comfortable in the silence. Finally, we're 2 days out from Terra. I wanted to talk to you before we arrived. You gesture to the data slate, your only means of communication. She shakes her head. You don't have to respond, just listen, if you want to. You nod. When I was called, she begins, I was serving on a merchant vessel, junior navigator. I heard my name, not in the throne room, nothing as dramatic as you experienced, but I heard it. And suddenly I could see futures, branching possibilities, every choice creating cascading consequences. She stares into her recaf cup. The first time I used it, I saved my ship from an ambush. I saw the future where we dropped out of the warp in the wrong location, saw the pirates waiting, saw my crew dying. So I convinced the captain to adjust our translation point. We emerged safely. Everyone lived. She's quiet for a moment. The captain asked how I knew. I couldn't explain. How do you tell someone you saw them die in a future that didn't happen? So I didn't. I kept quiet, and I kept seeing futures, kept making choices based on knowledge I shouldn't have. She takes a sip. 3 months later, I saw a future where my captain made a decision that would kill him within a week. A merchant deal with the wrong people. I could have warned him. I saw the warning scenario. Saw him listening to me, changing his mind, surviving. But I also saw the consequences. If he lived, he'd make other choices. Choices that led to his ship being pressed into military service during a sector war. 200 crew members would die in a battle they'd never see coming. She looks at you now. So I said nothing. I let him make the deal. I let him die. And I saved 200 people who never knew they'd been in danger. Her hands are shaking slightly. I've done that 47 times now. 47 people I could have saved but didn't because saving them would cost more lives down the line. I carry every one of them, every name, every face, every moment I could have spoken and chose silence. She sets the recaf cup down. Is that murder or mercy? I don't know. The math says I made the right choice. 47 deaths versus thousands saved. But I still see their faces. I still hear the things they said in the moments before they died. And I wonder if the Emperor's gift is really a curse, if being able to see the math makes me less human or something else entirely. She meets your eyes. I'm telling you this because you need to know it doesn't get easier. The guilt doesn't fade. The knowledge that you paid for those 70 worlds with your voice, your health, your future, that weight doesn't lighten. You're going to carry it forever. She reaches across the small table, puts her hand over yours. But you're not carrying it alone. There are others, people like us. People who have been called and survived and broken and somehow kept going. We find each other. We help each other. We form communities of the shattered faithful. She pulls out the data chip she gave you before, sets it on the table. Haven's Rest, she says. When you're ready, not now, it's too soon. You need time to grieve first, time to sit with what you've lost. But eventually, when the pain becomes unbearable and the silence gets too loud and you need to be around people who understand. She taps the chip. Go there, they'll take you in. No questions, no judgment, just understanding. She stands to leave, pauses at the door. The Emperor protects, she says, but he protects by using us as shields, and shields get broken. Remember that you were a shield for 70 worlds. Billions of people are alive because you broke for them. That doesn't make it fair. It doesn't make it right, but it makes it meaningful, and sometimes meaning is all we have. She leaves. You're alone again. You pick up the data chip, hold it in your glowing hand, and wonder if meaning is enough. 6 months later, you're sitting in a garden on Haven's Rest, a small planet in the Ultima Segmentum that serves as sanctuary for the marked. The garden is beautiful, flowers in colors that seem too vibrant to be real, the air perfumed with scents you can't quite identify, pathways that wind through carefully cultivated greenery. You can't taste, you can't speak, but you can see beauty. And somehow that's enough for today. Sister Talitha is nearby, tending roses that grow in impossible patterns. She lost her legs the second time she was called. They turned to gold, then to dust. She uses a grav chair now, floating peacefully between flower beds. Young Christoph is teaching children their catechisms in the distance. His voice carries across the garden. He hasn't been called since his first time 3 years ago. He's the most normal of the marked here, still clinging to humanity, still fighting to maintain who he was. You admire him for that, but you don't have his strength. Old Marcus is sitting on a bench, staring at nothing, or staring at everything. It's hard to tell. He's been called 4 times. After the 4th, he stopped being entirely present. His consciousness exists partially in the warp now. Sometimes he speaks prophecies. Sometimes he speaks gibberish. Sometimes you're not sure there's a difference. This is your community now, the broken blessed, the shattered faithful, people who heard their names and survived and wish they hadn't. You're writing in your journal the one joy you have left. They say to be chosen by the Emperor is the highest honor. They're right. They say his blessing is upon those he calls. They're right about that too. What they don't say, honor is cold comfort when you can't speak your daughter's name. Blessing feels like curse when you wake up every day in pain. Salvation has a price and we're the ones who pay it. I don't regret delivering the message. How could I 70 worlds, billions of souls? The mathematics are clear, but I grieve the man I was. I grieve the life I didn't get to live. I grieve the choice I never got to make. If he calls my name again, I'll answer. Not because I'm brave, not because I'm faithful, but because I'm his tool now and tools don't get to choose their use. This is what it means to be chosen by God in a universe that needs gods. You become essential and expendable at the same moment. You become more than human and less than person. You become a miracle, a martyr, a sacrifice. You become his. And there is no going back. You close the journal. In the distance, you hear something, a whisper on the wind, or maybe just your imagination, or maybe. Your hand freezes mid-motion. Your eyes widen. No, but deep in your bones, in the places where the message once burned, you feel it stirring. The presence, the attention, the terrible, beautiful awareness of something infinite turning its gaze toward you once more. He might call again. Your name is in his book now. You've proven useful, and the Imperium always needs more miracles. The sun sets over Haven's Rest. Golden light spreads across the garden, and for a moment, just a moment, every shadow looks like wings. You sit. You wait. This is your forever now. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war and sacrifice. And the terrible mathematics of necessity. The Emperor protects. That's the first lesson of the Imperial Creed. What they don't teach in the Schola is what protection costs. They don't tell you that sometimes he protects humanity by using humans as ammunition. If you heard your name tomorrow, your true name, spoken in a voice that reaches into your soul, would you consider it blessing or curse? Would it matter? In the end, the only certainty is this: we are all expendable in the eyes of gods. The only question is whether our expenditure means something. The marked would tell you it does. It does mean something, and that somehow makes it worse.